I'm Camille Tootie. I'm FedScoop's editorial director, and I'm here with Terry Halvorsen, the CIO of the Department of the Navy. Welcome.
Thank you for having me today.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about how federal agencies can expand interagency partnerships to reduce redundant contracts.
I think the first thing, there's a couple things we have to recognize. The federal agencies, to include DoD, generally are at different starting points with where they are with respect to both IT and contracting. So you have to first find where are there common ground things that you can do. One of the things that within DoD we are certainly looking at is software licensing, which is a good place to find common ground, particularly among some of the more common software products, Microsoft, Oracle, Cisco. The next step after you've identified your common ground, which you want to buy, is to work on getting common vehicles that will address, while it's easy to say everybody buys Microsoft or everybody buys Oracle, there are variations within those software products. So you've got to make sure that the contract includes the variations that each of the partners in your contract vehicle are going to need. So I think they're the first steps. Get common ground, make sure your acquisition vehicle lays out and that the requirements have been presented well to the acquisition side. And then I think know the marketplace. One of the things that I think we are trying to do better inside government, and I think this will help us with partnerships, is to understand the business marketplace better. You know, what's the right timeline to introduce an enterprise vehicle? And you should look at things just like you would do in industry. Industry will look at, if they're going to buy, they'll look at company stock prices, where they are in their fiscal year, all the things that might influence how you could do and get a better price. So not an impossible task, and I think we're making good progress in doing more enterprise. And I think that's probably the last thing I would say is that this is a little bit about a cultural change. This is not anything that is negative, but IT in general, even within the Department of Navy, grew up in stovepipes. That's just the way it's the same in industry too. If you went back and looked at IBM and other big companies, you find they grew up with stovepipes. So you have to start developing a culture of enterprise thought, and that culture now needs to go beyond, you know, in my case, the Navy and Marine Corps and the Don, to start including DoD and even other federal agencies as we find this common ground, leverage our buying power, and figure out ways to reduce some of the complexities that you have the bigger the contracts you have.
Mm-hmm. What is the biggest challenge facing federal agencies when protecting their information from cyber attacks on the cloud?
I think educating everyone who is on a computer what the rule sets are. This is much like any other security problem. Everybody's got to be part of the solution. So educating everybody about what are the right behaviors you want to take, how do you go into places on the internet that may or may not be more dangerous. I mean, particularly in DoD, we do get paid to go into places that are dangerous. I'm not saying the internet is a dangerous place, but the internet in certain parts is a dangerous place in a cyber way. So you've got to understand that. I think at a very localized level, one of the things you have to do is make sure that you've done all of the basics. So patching. You've got to patch your systems. That is still one of the best things you can do, is have a fully patched network, fully patched system to prevent, because it makes it harder. And in many cases, you know, cyber criminals or cyber threats are just like, you know, physical threats. You know, if you have two houses on the street that someone's going to burgle, one of them has the burglar alarm and is patched, so to speak, and there's one that's not, probably go to the one that's not. So you make it harder. And then I think as we go to, you know, cloud computing and other different types of distributed data, we've got to really understand, while that brings a lot of benefits, we do have to understand what that does to the security environment that may bring some new challenges. So educate the entire workforce first about what is the rule set, what do they need to do, educate them to recognize, you know, suspicious emails, all those things that you hear, you know, patch your systems and networks, And then as you move into new areas, make sure you've done a good risk analysis about here's what this area does to help you, but here are the new challenges, and make sure you've mitigated those.
Well, thank you very much for sharing your insight with FedScoopTV. We
Happy
appreciate
to do
it.
that. Thank you.